11th century CE. A group of hardened desert warriors called the Almoravids burst out of the Sahara and managed to unify the entirety of Northwest Africa under the banner of Islam. In 1085, as the Catholics pushed south to capture Toledo, the emirs of the surrounding kingdoms sent a desperate call for help to Yusuf ibn Tashfin, the supreme commander of the Almoravids. Yusuf ibn Tashfin answers the call in 1086. He prepares his armies and heads up north to fight Alfonso VI in what will become the legendary Battle of Sagrajas. The losses inflicted on the Catholics are so significant that it will set the Spanish Reconquista back by some 400 years. But this is a longer story, so sit tight and relax as I tell you the incredible history of the Almoravid Empire. Let us now go back in time. 974 CE. The leading Idrisid dynasty has just fallen, and a period of intense instability, chaos, and tribal warfare plagues the region. Enter Yahya Ibn Ibrahim. Yahya Ibn Ibrahim is the first person recorded in history to unify the ranks of the Moroccan tribes after the fall of the Idrisid dynasty. He comes from the Gudala tribe and is the de facto leader of the bigger Senhaja tribe of Morocco. Yahya was a man of ambition. As a tribe leader, he felt immense sorrow at the complete decline of morals the country suffered. But this would be no more. In 1038, he travels to Mecca with two goals in mind: accomplish his Islamic duty of Hajj, and look for someone who would help him achieve his dream of a united entity. On his way back, he stops by Qayrouan and meets Abu Imrane al-Fasi, a jurist from the Maliki school, and is immediately impressed by the scholar's knowledge, manners, and asceticism. He tells the scholar about the situation back in Morocco, the tribal wars, the abyssal lack of knowledge, the backward practices. Yahya wants a knowledgeable man to help him restore Islam as a unifying force. Abu Imran, touched by the man's message, writes him a letter and sends him to see a man in Sus called Wajjaj Al Lamti. The letter states the following: if the carrier of the present letter arrives to you, get him from your students someone whose religious knowledge, manners, and advice you trust, that he may teach them the Quran along with the Islamic rulings and guide them to the truth. Doing so will reward you immensely, as Allah does not forget the deeds of the pious. Yahya takes the letter and travels back to Morocco. In 1039, he finds Wajjaj Al Lamti. Wajjaj reads the letter, gathers his students, and picks from them a man called Abdallah Ibn Yasin. If you made it this far into the video, well, stick around, things just got interesting. See, Abdallah Ibn Yasin was a man of knowledge. He had spent 7 years traveling across Andalusia and studying religious sciences. He decided to put that knowledge to use by helping Yahya Ibn Ibrahim in his mission. So the two men set off for the tribes of Lamtuna and Gudala. Abdallah ibn Yasin teaches them the Quran and the manners of the religion. He is at first very well received, but his religious zeal and strict enforcing of the Islamic rulings start to make him enemies. So much so that some of them kick him out of his house and destroy it for good measure. Abdullah's only option left was to flee and save his life. What happens next is blurry in history books and varies from one narrator to the next. There is, however, a narration that can be found in both Tariq Ibn Khaldun and in Ibn Abi Zar's Arawd al-Qirtas, in which Yahya Ibn Ibrahim tells Abdullah ibn Yasin about an island located on the river of Senegal where they could live and worship Allah in peace. The two men set off to the island along with 7 other men. Their presence and activities are quickly noticed and start to attract people around them. It is said they gathered 1,000 followers then and there, shortly after. Abdullah ibn Yasin continues tirelessly his teachings, focusing on the basics of the religion. He teaches them how to purify themselves before the prayers, how to do the zakat, how to understand the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, following the understanding of the early generations of Muslims. He then tells his followers about the greatness of paradise, as described in the Holy Quran, describing what Allah prepared in it as a reward for those who struggle in His path. Until one day, they said, "We hear and we obey." Ibn Abi Zar in Arawd al-Qirtas recorded a speech he allegedly gave them, and it goes as follows: "O Morabbitin, how numerous are you, and Allah rectified your affairs and guided you to the straight path. It is now dutiful upon you to thank Allah for His mercy, to enjoin good, to forbid evil, and to struggle in His path." And this is the end of the first phase of Abdallah ibn Yasin calling towards Islam, where he built the foundation of what would become the Almoravids Empire. We can draw an interesting comparison to the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the Meccan phase, where the focus was on the foundation of the religious principles and practices. And just like in Mecca, preaching by the spoken word could only bring them so far, and Abdullah knew that. Where the word failed to prevail, the sword would succeed.